The boardroom of Harrington Foods was silent except for the soft hum of the city far below. Ethan Harrington sat at the head of the table, his suit perfectly pressed, his expression unreadable. At 38, he was one of the youngest CEOs in the country, and a single father who rarely spoke about the life he'd lived before success. Today he wasn't in the office. He was walking through one of the poorest neighborhoods in the city. Ethan believed numbers meant nothing if you never saw the people behind them. So when reports came in about food theft at one of his distribution centers, he decided to visit himself. No security, no announcement. That's when he heard the voice. Please don't take our food." Ethan turned. A boy no older than 10 stood between Ethan and a small crate of donated groceries. His clothes were worn, his shoes too big, and his hands shook as he spread his arms wide like a shield. "My mom is sick," the boy said, his voice cracking. "She can't get up. This is all we have." Behind him, inside the dim apartment, a woman lay on a thin mattress, coughing weakly. Ethan felt something tighten in his chest. "I'm not here to take anything," Ethan said gently, lowering himself to the boy's level. "What's your name?" "Lucas," the boy whispered. "Please don't be mad." Mad. The word cut deeper than any accusation. Ethan glanced at the food. Basic items meant to last a family a week. He thought of his own daughter at home, tucked into a warm bed, complaining when dinner was late. "When was the last time your mom saw a doctor?" Ethan asked. Lucas shook his head. "We don't have money. She says she'll be okay." Ethan knew that lie. He'd heard it before. Years ago. From his own father. Ethan stood slowly. "Wait here," he said. Lucas panicked. "You're not calling the police, are you?" Ethan met his eyes. "No, I'm calling for help." Outside, Ethan made a call that no one in his company would ever forget. And as he walked back inside, looking at the frightened boy standing guard over a few bags of food, he realized this visit meant to investigate a loss. It was about to expose something far more important than stolen groceries. It was about to reveal the cost of looking away. Ethan returned to the apartment within minutes, but he wasn't alone. 2 men followed him, one a doctor from a nearby clinic, the other a logistics manager from Harrington Foods who looked completely out of place in the narrow hallway. Lucas stiffened when he saw them. "I didn't steal," he blurted out. "I promise." Ethan knelt again. "No one thinks you did," he said softly. "You protected your mom. That's bravery." The doctor moved to the mattress, checking the woman's pulse, her breathing, the fever burning through her skin. "She's been sick for weeks," he said. "Pneumonia, likely. She needs treatment now." Lucas's face crumpled. "Is she going to die?" "Not if we help her," Ethan said firmly. Within moments, an ambulance was called. As paramedics carefully lifted Lucas's mother onto the stretcher, Ethan placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. "You can ride with her," he said. "I'll follow." At the hospital, Ethan didn't leave. He filled out forms Lucas couldn't read. He argued with billing staff who asked about insurance. When they tried to delay treatment, Ethan made one quiet phone call. The doors opened. Hours passed. Finally, the doctor came out with a tired smile. "She's stable. She'll recover." Lucas burst into tears, not the quiet kind, but the kind that comes after holding fear too long. Ethan sat beside him, saying nothing, letting the moment pass. Later that night, Ethan stepped outside and called his executive team. "Effective immediately," he said, voice steady. "We are expanding our food program. No more loss reports without context. If a family is hungry, we help them, no exceptions." There was stunned silence on the line. "This will cost millions," someone finally said. Ethan looked back through the hospital window at Lucas, asleep in a chair beside his mother's bed. "Then we've been measuring the wrong thing," Ethan replied. When Lucas's mother woke, weak but alive, she saw Ethan sitting quietly nearby. "Why?" she whispered. Ethan thought of his daughter, of his past, of a life where someone once chose not to help. "Because someone once did this for me," he said, "and I never forgot." Lucas listened from the doorway, hope shining in his eyes, and for the first time in a very long time, the word tomorrow didn't feel so frightening. The story didn't go public the way scandals usually did. There were no press releases, no interviews, no carefully worded statements from Harrington Foods. It started with a nurse. She posted a simple message online. Saw a CEO sit on a hospital floor for 6 hours with a scared kid today. No cameras, no applause, just kindness. By morning, the post had exploded. People began asking questions. Someone recognized Ethan Harrington. Someone else shared a photo, blurred, taken from a distance, of him holding a paper, cup of coffee beside a boy asleep in a chair. The internet did the rest. At Harrington Foods headquarters, executives panicked. This could set a precedent, one warned. People will expect more, another said. Our shareholders? Ethan listened quietly. Then he stood. Good, he said. They should expect more. That afternoon, Ethan returned to the hospital, not alone this time, but with his daughter, Emily. She was 9, curious, and far more perceptive than he often gave her credit for. Lucas looked up when they entered. You came back. I promised, Ethan said. Emily walked straight up to him. My dad says you're brave. Lucas blinked. I was just scared. She smiled. That's what brave usually is. When Lucas's mother was discharged days later, she didn't return to the same cold apartment. Ethan arranged temporary housing near the hospital, stocked with food, heat, and medical follow-ups quietly without conditions. I don't want charity, she said, embarrassed. This isn't charity, Ethan replied. It's a bridge. You decide where it leads. Weeks passed. Lucas's mother grew stronger. Lucas went back to school, and Harrington Foods rolled out something unprecedented. Community kitchens attached to distribution centers, staffed by volunteers and funded without advertising. Other companies followed. Not because they were forced, but because the public demanded it. One evening, Lucas asked Ethan a question that stopped him cold. Were you scared when you were a kid? Ethan nodded. All the time. So why did you help us? Ethan thought for a long moment. Because I needed someone like me back then, he said. And I don't want you growing up thinking the world only takes. Lucas smiled. Then I want to be like you. Ethan felt his throat tighten. The boardroom would always be there. The money would come and go. But in that moment, Ethan understood something far more valuable. Leadership wasn't about power. It was about showing up when no one is watching. And sometimes the smallest voice asking for food can change the way the world is fed.